Across time and culture, countless stories have been told, and countless have been forgotten. It's a curious thing then when a story sticks around. What makes the story of Sun Wukong so special? What is it about his character that resonates with people? Well, it's his mindset, or what I call super inspiration. And it's not just the key to Sun Wukong, but every exciting story. In this video, I'll be explaining the very core of excitement. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you how I got here with an example of one of Sun Wukong's misadventures. A little bit into Journey to the West, Sun Wukong wakes from a nap to realize his soul has been captured by a bunch of psychopaths. To whom he asks, "Why am I here?" And they say, "The two of us were given summons to arrest you." Sun Wukong wastes no time before saying, "Screw you, I'm immortal," breaking free of his bonds and beating the men with his staff. Then he fights his way into the region of darkness where the 10 kings of the underworld reside, and demands of them the Ledger of the Dead. Once he receives it from the fearful kings, he strikes out his and every other monkey name, effectively freeing them all from death. From there, he fights his way out of the underworld and finally back into the land of the living. Now, if my goal is to prove that it's Sun Wukong's mindset that makes this exciting, I run into an obvious roadblock. Nowhere does it explicitly say how he's feeling. This is one of the biggest difficulties in deconstructing stories, and also what makes them so interesting. We don't always know exactly what a character is thinking, so we must make an educated guess from their actions. If we look at Sun Wukong's actions, it's easy to recognize determination just from the fact that he fights to get what he wants. Where's the super inspiration though? That I can only show you through contrast. So for now, let's say determination is what creates an exciting story, and see if we can't find a counterexample. In Monty Python and the Holy Grail, partway through his journey, King Arthur comes across a bridge guarded by a strange black knight, resolute that none shall pass. When King Arthur says he must pass anyways, the knight draws his sword, determined that even a king will not exempt him from his duty. Unfortunately for him, King Arthur cuts off all his arms and legs, yet he remains steadfast and certain defeat. In this story, there's determination, yes, but no excitement. It's humorous, not electrifying. Why? The scene is funny because the emotion is inappropriate. We expect disappointment or resignation from the Black Knight, yet we get the opposite. Perhaps then the determination has to be appropriate to the situation. There must be a challenge, but there must also be a character with the skill to overcome it. So where does that leave us? Maybe appropriate determination equals excitement? Let's put that to the test. In Chapter 4 of Journey to the West, Sun Wukong, fed up with the Jade Emperor, the ruler of heaven, for not appreciating his talents, fights his way out of heaven and returns home. When divine warriors come to arrest him for leaving, he tells them off. But when they refuse to leave, he tells them that he'll only come back on one condition. The Jade Emperor must officially recognize him as the great sage equal to heaven. That outrages the successive divine warriors sent to capture Sun Wukong. None, of course, stand a fighting chance. Eventually, the Jade Emperor capitulates and offers him the empty title, which he accepts. What's going on here? The exciting part of the story comes before Sun Wukong shows any determination at all. He's being petty when he tells off the divine warriors. Yet, it feels somewhat powerful. Could it just be the audacity of the action that causes the excitement? But we already saw how the Black Knight was even more audacious, but less exciting. But wait a minute, there was one part of that scene I didn't show you. This is how everything connects. Characters who are determined tend to be underestimated, and audacity is when a character severely exceeds expectations. You can get pretty far with this idea. Just imagine a mother coming home from work, walking in the door only to see, covering every surface, hundreds of pancakes. She locks eyes with her son in the kitchen, and he says,
"You underestimated me, Mother."
Electric, is it not? Though, there's still one thing that spoils this idea. If you pay attention to how you're feeling during these examples, you'll realize that you're empathizing with a character being underestimated. The excitement comes from them, not from the shock of others. That's just a reaction to the same thing that you are reacting to. Well, what are we reacting to? It's like a feeling, but also like an action. Have you figured it out yet? It's an intention, a very specific mindset that precedes feeling and action. In its purest form, it can be encapsulated by the single phrase, I don't want what's reasonable, I want what's possible. It's the super inspiration mindset. When you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, it seems kind of obvious. More important than recognizing a person's emotions or actions is recognizing their intentions, and therefore, those intentions stand out to us on an emotional level. Though, what's so special about this particular intention that makes us feel excited? Why these particular words? Well, let me show you. Long-distance runners have a term for Goku. That is, they have a term, and it very well applies to Goku. It's the idea of a second wind. For the record, running sucks. Your legs get sore, your lungs burn, and you think you're gonna die. This pain is your body asking you, is what you're doing really worth it? Maybe not. But when you answer yes, for a while, it stops asking the question. Your body gets lighter, your breathing gets easier, and you start to feel a renewed energy. You realize pain wasn't the limit, the gatekeeper of your potential. In other words, to unlock your true potential, you need a reason to fight. Having that strong intention literally lets you become more powerful. Remind you of anyone? It's this notion that we empathize with when we feel that excitement to go beyond the normal limits and not to settle for mediocrity. Speaking of going beyond, if anyone represents the ability to go beyond, it's gotta be this guy. To be honest, the whole show illustrates this idea of super inspiration. But that's a whole other video. The second wind version of going beyond the reasonable to the possible doesn't really apply to Midori all that much. His situation is very different and a lot closer to a normal person's. He already has the will, but to become the number one hero, he must learn to strategize, ask for help, and give himself every advantage. If something doesn't work, he tries something else. Everything he does is in service of his goal. It becomes clear when you compare him to, say, Bakugo. Bakugo's egotistical mindset prevents him from reaching his potential. He's determined to be strong, but he can't comprehend that he's trapped by his own reasons. He doesn't ask for help because it would make him look weak. He doesn't learn from others because he believes there's nothing to learn from them. He doesn't strategize because he believes fighting power determines everything. Bakugo has his reasons, but that's exactly why he can't reach his potential. He wants to be strong, but not more than he wants to feel strong. He tries to become strong, but to try is to go until you reach a self-imposed limit. If something is possible and you want it, then you either do it or you don't. Put it the more familiar way, do or do not. There is no try. Don't settle for what feels possible. Keep going until you do what is possible. Speaking of not settling, there's a group of people that never seem to quit. Ever wonder why summoning solve videos are so great? Speedrunners exemplify the attitude of, I don't want what's reasonable, I want what's possible. You might play a track on Mario Kart 1,000 times and assume you have a reasonably fast time. But then along comes a speedrunner with a new understanding of the physics, knowledge of the checkpoint system, and millisecond reflexes, and does this.
Oh my god.
Reasonable limitations are there to be played with and taken apart piece by piece. No obstacle can be said to be insurmountable until it's been attacked from every angle. You can't know your limits without having given it your all. And finally, I come neatly to why I use Sun Wukong as an example. The idea for Sun Wukong himself comes from a key idea in Buddhism called monkey mind, a powerful yet uncontrollable mind that requires a counterpart horse will to achieve the composure for reaching enlightenment. Sun Wukong is literally the embodiment of the unlimited potential of the human mind. There is no idea, no law, and no authority that can keep him down. His limits are the universe itself. Why does this excite and inspire us? Because, for a moment, we comprehend what we are capable of achieving, and it lasts until we ask ourselves, is it really worth it? Maybe not. But when the answer is yes, you gotta give it everything you have.